Hi, I'm Femi OK. Anti-corruption protests are sweeping across Russia, but does the movement have enough power to bring change to the Kremlin? That's today on The Stream, but first, let's check in with Malika Bilal on some of the other big stories from Russia that people are talking about.
So many headlines. Let's start with a pitch from our community. Members of the Jehovah's Witnesses religious group are protesting that what they call an assault against freedom of religion in Russia. Russia's Justice Ministry recently filed a case with the Supreme Court to declare the Russian arm of the Christian denomination an extremist group. Well, best known perhaps for door-to-door preaching and refusing military service, the group is pushing back. Some are mailing letters to President Vladimir Putin. Well, the Justice Ministry accuses the church, which has about 175,000 followers in Russia and an estimated 8 million worldwide, of disseminating extremist pamphlets. A spokesman from the Jehovah's Witnesses World Headquarters rejected the charge. In a statement, he wrote, "Prosecuting nonviolent, law-abiding citizens as if they were terrorists is clearly a misapplication of anti-extremist laws and based on completely false grounds." Now, we're also following accounts of gay men disappearing in Chechnya. Opposition paper Novaya Gazeta reports at least 100 gay men have been detained in the Russian Republic. The allegations have angered people around the world. "This is sickening," George tweets. "Britain must stand up and call out this horrific atrocity." Now, a petition is calling for U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson to denounce the detainments. Tillerson is currently visiting Russia. Chechen officials are denying the reports. A spokesman for leader Ramzan Kadyrov told Interfax news agency that you cannot arrest or repress people who just don't exist in the republic. Lastly, supporters of Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny are abuzz online following his release from 15 days in jail for organizing anti-corruption protests against Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev. "Hi, everyone," Navalny wrote on Twitter on Monday, posting a picture of himself at the office of his anti-corruption foundation. Now that Navalny is free, what direction will his movement take? And how will Putin and the Kremlin respond?
Joining us to talk about all of this from Moscow, Vitaly Milonov. He is a member of Russian parliament and of Putin's ruling party, United Russia. Also in Moscow, Roman Dobrokotov. He's the editor-in-chief of The Insider, hello, and that's an independent investigative news site. And in New York City, Maria Snegovaya. Hello, she's a PhD candidate at Columbia University and a columnist at Vedomosti. That is a Russian language business daily. Welcome, everybody. Good to have you here. Let me show you on our laptop how we're billing today's show. Anti-corruption protests sweep across Russia. That word sweep, is it accurate? Let me show you a picture, a map. Snapshot from March the 26th. These little dots here show you where all of the pop-up protests were happening around Russia. Maria, I'm just wondering, how big a surprise was this to you to see so many protests popping up on March the 26th?
Well, it was quite a surprise. It is true that the protest propensity has been growing in Russia for quite a while because of the worsening economic situation. Yet the ability of just one leader of the opposition to organize so many people across so many cities in the country just because of one video about the corrupt officials is quite phenomenal. It is true. So yeah, I think that everyone has been taken by surprise, and it's a great news that there is viable, vibrant democratic movement emerging in today's Russia.
Vitaly, as part of the ruling party, could you even have anticipated that the opposition would be able to organize protests on this scale?
You're showing now the action held by communists, as far as I can see. So it's not the true picture. This is a picture of a communist party protesting for some communist ideas. So now, to use fake figures, you should provide a proper video, not this one. So I suppose that if some of the opposition managed to take less than 1% of supporters on the street, so it means that we have a democratic society. The only bad thing in this is that these so-called democratic leaders, they address towards the youngsters, towards 12, 14 years old boys and girls to go on the street. So they had no idea what they're protesting against for. They just had a gathering with each other.
That is not true.
Yeah,
Actually, there is data that shows.
This is true, and I'm as a Russian, I would be ashamed to sit in the United States blaming your own country, being paid by Americans.
Well, Vitaly Milonov is showing us another example of Kremlin's lies that are spreading that are being spread all around by the Kremlin officials and deputies. In fact, it has been shown that the people who were in the streets were younger people, but in the mid-20s, early to mid-20s predominantly. There were no schoolboys there.
This woman sitting somewhere in United States has no idea about the real nature of this protest. I saw this.
All of my friends and all of my relatives went to the protest.
All your friends are sitting in gay clubs in Russia. We know where your friends are.
Vitaly, there is no basis of you to even know that that is the truth. So you're questioning us using news video reportage from March of 26, and you have no idea about Maria's family or friends. So let's stay on facts as much as possible. Hold tight for a moment. Malika?
Well, I'll pick up on a comment Vitaly made indicating that the young people out on the streets don't actually know what they're protesting for and may not be protesting for anything much. I want to share a picture that was tweeted. This is circulating online of what some of those people are protesting against. One person is showing a picture of a pretty big house there. I think you could call it a mansion. Another person has a picture of a shoe, some very nice Nikes and a little price tag there. Roman, describe for our audience why these two in particular, and of course, as a little teaser, it's because of a video that came out that indicates houses and merchandise like clothing is something that might indicate corruption.
Yeah, that's some kind of symbol of this protest. But first of all, I would like shortly answer to Vitaly Milonov, who wanted to speak with some witness of this protest. First of all, I was in the very middle of the protest on the Pushkinskaya Square in Moscow, where all the arrested were being underway. More than 1,000 people were arrested, 1,200, the official numbers only in Moscow. That's official numbers of Russian police. And I didn't see Vitaly Milonov there, by the way. I think he was somewhere in maybe a natural club or where he's sitting. No,
not with you, definitely.
Kind of
not definitely
Orthodox
with you.
Club.
With you.
And secondly,
I was
speaking
with my family,
about the symbols of this protest, about this Nikes
Vitaly, just give Roman a moment because I want to hear every word of what you're saying. Roman, continue, and then Vitaly, come back
in. About the symbols of this protest. Mentions there mean those big houses, mentions of the Russian political elite, of Dmitry Medvedev, Vladimir Putin, who are the richest people in Russia, and their other friends from judo clubs and from their university where they studied, who are now the richest people in Russia. And Dmitry Medvedev was one of those, and Navalny made a big video with investigation about all his assets. And that video, I wouldn't say was the reason, but maybe was one of the causes why this protests went to streets, and this going to be actually only a start of a very big campaign before the presidential elections. And actually that wasn't surprising for me as for Maria and others, because I think that people are really tired, especially those young people who are not watching TV anymore and who were born under Putin's
Roman, you describe
under Vladimir Putin, and who want to change.
You described the young protesters in an op-ed that you wrote for Al Jazeera English, Russia's new protest generation. Vitaly, when you see the protesters out right now in Russia, in different cities around Russia, are you seeing a different kind of protester? Are they younger? Is this a young generation of Russians out protesting? Vitaly?
The pictures that you are showing to us are pictures being prepared by your editors. Unfortunately, I don't have a chance to show a proper one. Unfortunately,
what would you like to show us?
Of course, I would like to show that these people who are now talking so much about protest are really enemies of traditional values. And I should tell every Islamic participant of the show that these people are definitely enemies of Islam and Christianity, because they value the modern Satanist values. They are standing for single-sex marriages. They are protesting against traditional families. And this should be known to anyone who is watching this show. And about the pictures, of course, they addressed a lot of YouTube movies towards pupils in the schools, which is absolutely illegal. And unfortunately, they pushed a lot of incorrect information about all this stuff. And I should say that now we have a big fight with the corruption in Russia. And some of the governors, that's not happening in the United States, are being arrested, and even some investigations made by honest journalists, not being paid by some American LGBT foundations. Many governors
Vladimir Putin cannot arrest himself. If he wants to fight corruption, he has to prison himself. That's insane.
And this gentleman that is talking from some Moscow office, he is a member of the protest group being sponsored by black money by American Department of State and different foundations, because
where are
they're
this
not
money?
being
Just give me this money from the Department of State.
Yes, I'm just going to take a pause for a moment because I want to share something with you.
Supported by the Russians.
Vitaly,
they are trying to address to Americans. They're not trying to address to Russians because they don't have support. Russian families, Russian parents, Russian...
Vitaly, give me a moment. I want to share something with our international audience, because I can tell that you don't have much regard for our other panelists, but I want to share something with you because I think this is an important moment. There is a YouTube investigation that was taken part by Alexei Navalny, his anti-corruption foundation. I thought you might say that, but let our audience have a moment to decide. Vitaly, just give me a moment, because I don't want to have to fade you down, because that would be unfortunate. We have three people in this conversation. We should have enough space for us all to speak. Vitaly, just give us a moment. Vitaly, you are a member of Russian Parliament.
Yes, I'm the member of Russian Parliament.
Excellent. And I know you can take a breath, Vitaly. Please take that breath. All right. While Vitaly takes this breath, roll the video. This is an investigation into the Russian Prime Minister. A little clip. Let's have a look.
Дочерней фирмы соцгоспроекта, на которую тоже записана земля в Знаменском, является некий Леонид Рубцов. Нет, он не однокурсник. Он стопроцентный собственник фонда Градислава, того самого, которому сегодня принадлежит секретная плёская дача Медведева. Фонд «Дар» просто подарил Градиславе этот участок и все постройки на нем. Почему я это все рассказываю в таких подробностях? Потому что это и есть суть медведевской коррупционной схемы. Несколько некоммерческих и благотворительных фондов под управлением его близких друзей. На них оформлено то, что фактически принадлежит Медведеву. Подозреваю, что вам просто уже не терпится посмотреть на рублевскую усадьбу Дмитрия Анатольевича. Не могу отказать вам в этом удовольствии. Смотрим. Мы с вами находимся в районе села Знаменское. Это ближайшее Подмосковье, Рублево-Успенское шоссе. Здесь самая дорогая в России земля, самые шикарные дома за самыми высокими заборами. Разворачиваемся, и перед нами открывается вид на внушительного размера особняк и ухоженную территорию вокруг него. Опускаемся пониже, чтобы лучше разглядеть.
So, Maria, that video goes on for about 49 minutes, but clearly there's an audience for it. It got more than 18 million views. Ruslan here on Twitter explains perhaps why. Ruslan's bio, though, for everyone, he describes himself as the chief of Navalny's local presidential campaign office. He says they might bring change if the pressure will grow with the number of protesters on the streets. We shall see if Navalny will work that out. Do you actually believe this? Do you think that these protests will grow even after seeing so many arrests?
I certainly do so. And by the way, when we talk to those people who took part in this protest, they all tend to say that they will get back in the streets because they really support this cause. And the important thing here that these people, young people, they're not being brainwashed by people like Vitaly Milonov because they don't watch TV. These are a really younger generation that knows how to use the internet, and they know how to access this independent information without being brainwashed into this, different conspiracy theories, as Vitaly has been trying to show us. It's also important that it's a younger generation. These people will grow. They eventually replace the older Russian elites, and this gives us a lot of hope. Navalny is able to inspire and encourage this developing new, vibrant, as I mentioned, society, starting with the younger people. It's great.
May I also support you jumping in. It's really very important how people consume information, and this new generation doesn't watch TV not because of political reasons, but just because they don't want to watch TV, and that's why Kremlin lost control over them, and I can easily prove it. So I recently, before our program, I made an opinion poll on Twitter asking who you would support more, Vitaly Milonov or Alexei Navalny, and we have, I can show you, 94% support of Alexei Navalny, and he will really win. He will win any opinion poll in the internet against anyone, against Putin, against any politician.
That was not a very scientific poll, shows... Roman. That wasn't a very scientific poll.
Not. But
you did make Vitaly laugh.
Make your own.
Of course,
yes,
they made this research somewhere in gay club. Definitely, and you have a very strong support within this Satanist.
Why
and,
because
all of you are mental gays, and you are the enemies of Islam. You are the enemies of Islam, and I should say that the owners of Al Jazeera TV company. They would definitely shoot all your friends in case we found them somewhere in Saudi Arabia.
We are so off topic right now, Vitaly. Let me help you get back on topic.
So off topic.
Let's talk about your Russian Prime Minister.
Funny pictures,
yes.
you know.
Tell
me something about anti-corruption researchers made about these protesters, you know. You're not showing a truth. You're showing some woman.
Let's refocus our conversation. Vitaly, help me out here.
She has failed to continue her job in Russia, though that's why she escaped to United States.
So what I'm hearing is a lot of personal animosity from you to our other guests, who you do not know. But let me, Maria, help me get back on track here. Let's talk about. Let's talk about the ruling party, Vitaly. Help me out here.
Religion, no values, you know.
Vitaly, your Russian Prime Minister, how is he responding to these allegations that his salary and his personal wealth do not seem to be in tandem? He seems to be a lot wealthier than his salary would suggest he should be.
Of course, we are very concerned about this because the salary of some American presidents is much lower than the benefits they've got from the United States war companies producing weapons.
We digress.
Yes.
Vitaly. Let's focus on the Russian Prime Minister. He's absolutely in the middle of this story for protesters right now. And corruption.
In case someone has any questions about corruption, he can address to the Prosecutor General or to police or Federal Security Service. None of these people sent any letter to those who are responsible to fight corruption in Russia. More than this, they preferred to make these funny movies because
has to make criminal investigation if it's published in media, and it was published in media, and he absolutely ignored it because he's a part of it, and he's actually a part of a big criminal network. He's covering it, and of course he wouldn't make any criminal investigation because he also would have to investigate himself. So this is a vicious circle, actually.
This is about okay. It's not true because those who fight corruption, they are not directed by Prime Minister. This is the truth, and they're directed by President directly. So in case someone,
but he's also part of the system.
Okay, if someone would report some investigation or some address about the corruption, our Prosecutor General Office and our Federal Security Service have to.
We did that many times. We did that many times already.
For the first time, you used one of the very, I should say, strange communists with the name Rashkin. And he agreed to pass this letter to the Prosecutor General Office. But now the result is unclear for us right now. And you found this guy because he's supported by some strange religious groups. like Krishna eats.
Vitaly, I'm glad that in what you just said, among many things, one of the things you mentioned was the president, and I'm glad you brought that up because people online are talking about that, and that's, of course, Vladimir Putin. We asked, what do people think are the main factors driving opposition protests in Russia? Here's one person's answer, Putin, Putin, Putin. There's another person, though, who sent us a video comment, and he doesn't believe that. This is a video from Nick. He's a journalist who was born in Russia and now lives in Germany. Have a listen to what he told us.
I believe that one of the main factors of the protests in Russia is that they're actually against corruption and not against Putin. So Navalny, I think the biggest thing he did was to actually bring the people to the streets without touching the popularity of the president.
So Maria, we haven't heard your voice. We haven't heard Maria's voice in a second. Maria, this video commenter seems to say that it's not about Medvedev, it's not about Putin, it's just about corruption.
No, that is not true. He's mistaken. In fact, if you were to take part in the protest, or again to read the interviews with the participants, they all say they are really frustrated by Putin and the system that he's created. And so don't get misled. It is, in fact, the protest against Putin. Many participants chanted the slogans against Putin specifically during the protest. So the proposition was Medvedev's corruption, but in fact, this was a protest against the system, and people are not stupid. They understand everything. That is true.
So may I support you? Because I was right in the middle of these protesters, and I would say 99% of the slogans were against Vladimir Putin, against the system overall. And Dmitry Medvedev is not considered someone who is really powerful and really independent. That's why protests cannot be against him. He's only one of the part of this machine. And the protest was against the machine, rage against the machine.
I'm just looking here at some headlines. Russia blocks access to internet pages promoting new Moscow protest. Another recent headline here. Russia bans extremist image of Putin in makeup.
Homophobia is fantastic. Homophobia is natural, you know. And I should address to everyone that we in Russia, we have a right to choose the way we do live. And you know, the problem is that a small number of people in Russia, they're not satisfied with the way we live, and they're trying to push us using international relations to change the government because they're very satisfied. Like Mrs. Snegovaya, I don't know if does she has any kids. I suppose no. And when in 90s we were governed by United States, so we went into the power tree. Now we are very proud of our president, and we have a right to be proud of our president. And you know, during the elections, our party and other pro-government parties, they received a vast majority of votes. All these small little
there was no elections, no majority of votes. You are alone. You're sitting there alone. No one supported. You are one of the most hated people in internet and in Russia. One of the most hated
before this devolves into even more shouting, guess, let me just show you this. Vitaly and Roman, just give me a moment, because we're almost at the end of this show. Look here at my laptop. Vitaly, let me show you something. This is where we started with all of these protests on March the 26th. What is? But what is?
It's not true.
Yes, this is the point. Vitaly, let me finish my sentence. Just give me a chance to finish my sentence, Vitaly. What is the reaction from President Putin, Prime Minister Medvedev, to the opposition protests? What is your reaction to that as a ruling party?
Of course, you have to expect some reaction. I remember the marches organized by stupid drug abusers and singers and all these feminists when Donald Trump won the elections. I do remember, but I don't remember any reaction of President-elect Donald Trump towards these big and huge marches organized by enemies of Islam.
Vitaly, this is one of the few days we don't have a post show, and I'm sure everybody watching this is like, no, I want to hear more from Vitaly and Roman and Maria. If you do want to hear more, if you do want to continue this conversation, you have to go online. #AJStream. Thanks everybody for taking part. See you soon.